Today we are learning diamond weave. While kettle fill has the most complex layering of threads, diamond weave is last on here because it has the most complex weave pattern of this entire sampler. It took me quite a while to understand the process, so take it slow, check your weave constantly, and if the shape of the petal on the pattern is adding to the confusion at first, then you can always try the design in a simple square shape before doing it on the actual pattern. Let's give it a try. We'll start by surface satin stitching our whole shape. You'll definitely want a bit of space between each stitch to aid in getting those crossing threads woven through, especially on your first try. I like to begin weaving from the widest part of my shape for this one. This sort of establishes a baseline, and it's easier to move outward from there to the edge, then return to the widest part and weave in the other direction, rather than trying to start from a smaller area or a rounded edge and move down. To establish that baseline, we're just going to weave over 3 and then under 3, all the way to the other side. 3 is indeed the magic number of this weave, along with 1 and 5. Now all of our following stitches have their weave based in the position of the previous one. I think of it as a way to center the weave pattern. So here I'll look back at the first over 3 section on the far edge of my previous stitch and use that as the center or anchor for my next weave, which needs to go over 1, under 3, over 5, under 3. The 1 that it goes over needs to be the central thread of the over 3 section above it. Then this simple pattern can continue the same way to the other side. Over 1, under 3, over 5, under 3. Our next weave pattern is the reverse. Under 1, over 3, under 5, over 3. We now want to center that under 1 with the first over 5 in the previous line. So the one thread we go under should be the center one in that group of 5. This should make the repetition of this pattern line up correctly across the rest of the shape. So hopefully this makes sense with the visual. The weave pattern I'm giving you isn't based on the edge of your shape because the edge is curved and keeps gaining or losing more ground threads. Rather, in order to make sure each new weave pattern is lined up properly with the one before, you have to find a center or an anchor point from the stitch before, then count back from that spot to the edge of the shape to know in what part of the pattern you should be starting. Let's carry on with our fourth weave pattern, a return to that baseline of over 3, under 3. This time, the under 1 from the previous stitch is our center. We want there to be an under 3 centered directly below it. Don't forget to use your fingernail or the tip of your needle to push each new stitch into a straight line. And here we can already start to see one half of the diamond shape coming into view. Using that first under 3 as our center, we'll now return to the under 1, over 3, under 5, over 3 pattern, with the under 1 being right in the center of the under 3 on the previous stitch, which is in turn in the center of the under 1 of the stitch before that, thereby forming a little diamond inside of the larger one. We now use the under 1 up above as the center mark for our over 5 in the next sequence. Over 1, under 3, over 5, under 3. And finally, returning to our baseline of over 3, under 3, we'll line up the over 3 with the previous over 5 in order to form the bottom of our diamonds. From here, it's just a repetition of those same weave patterns over and over again. We need a point on our diamond, so the next sequence of over 1, under 3, over 5, under 3 will line up the over 1 with the over 3 above it, which in turn lines up to the over 5 above it. Then we have an under 1 over 3 under 5 over 3, with the under 1 becoming the top point of those mini diamonds on the inside of the larger ones. After that, it's back to the good old over 3, under 3 sequence, and so on and so forth. The previous stitches will always tell you what weave pattern to do next, and where to line it up. Again, if you're finding this all a bit confusing at first, practice makes perfect. You can still see that before every single stitch I'm doing, I'm checking with the lineup of the stitches before, counting off where I am in the sequence, and figuring out which pattern comes next. You got this! And here is our final stitch on the Laidwork Sampler Diamond Weave. And we're done!